Good evening, everyone. This is going to be my last video this year. And as we're heading towards 2025, I wanted to make another video about the ancient Turkic tribes that went to Europe. Now, first, let me tell you that I have a very important source. This is an ancient source from my dad. I took this from a very old atlas. It's a German atlas. And I'd like to tell you about certain pages. And I'm going to give you the relevant pages, of course, the most relevant pages about the Turks. I will try not to dive into details that are unnecessary. So this is actually, I don't know if you can see the headline, but this is about the Islamic world around the year 800. So if you have a look, let's dive into it. So this is Europe around the year 800. And here you see Anatolia. And actually here we still have the Roman Empire. But around this part here, we have certain tribes here. We have Kushistan, Khorasan, Farsistan. Okay, again, Kushistan, Mesopotamia, Iraq, and all the important trade routes here, Iberia, Armenia, Egypt. So actually here we see in green the rise of Islam. So towards Anatolia. So, and here you see the effect of Islam in Spain. So, if you have a look here in the map, we see actually how it spread from the Middle East, from Africa towards the Middle East, and also parts of Asia. So, now, the important thing that I want to mention here is actually not Islam, but we have here Tabaristan, Azerbaijan, and the parts here. But the most important part that I want to talk to you about is actually the Turkic tribes, the Turks that were in Europe. Now, this is the important part. Look here. So this is the area where Eastern Europe stretches. We have here Eastern Europe, and you see here the Pechenegs. They are all Turks here. The Alans. It says here they were Sarmatians. And then we have again the Hazars. Again, Turkic tribes. Atelkuzu, the Magyars, the Hungarians. So they are right under Poland. And here, the Bulgars, who mixed with the Slavs later, but in fact, they were Tatars, like the Avars here. Now this part here, this is actually Central Europe, where Germany starts. So if you, or let's say Austria, this part, Austria and southeastern Germany. So here we have the Avar tribes, and they were Tatars, it says here. Okay, imagine that the Indo-Europeans, okay, they claim to be all around here in Europe and everything. And let's say you don't even know. And let's say you don't accept anything, and you only accept that everything is Indo-European. So how come that the Turks are here in Europe? How come that the Hazars are here, up here? How come that the Pechenegs, the Turks, are here? And how come that the Avars, the Tatars, are here? So, imagine if the Tatars are Avars, so are the Magyars, so are the Hazars, so are the Turks here, the Pechenegs. This area is all a Tatar area. I even think that some parts of the Finnic tribes, they also mixed with the Tatars. And here somewhere the Slavic tribes start. So in Poland, Slavic tribes, etc. And they mixed with the Tatars. They mixed with the Avars and the Magyars and the Bulgars. You see here, I didn't make this up. This is an ancient German atlas, and it is the proof that this was the case. So they are lying to us. This is what I want to say. This is what I want to tell you. This is all a big lie. What they are trying to tell us about the Indo-Europeans, and that everything was Indo-European, blah, 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 and that kind of stuff. So another thing that I would like to tell you is now they are claiming that ancient, let's say the Europeans, now the DNA of the Europeans has something to do with the American Indians. Yes? How come? Why? I will tell you why. It is because of this. The Turks here, they were all in Europe. So they mixed with the local population here. They became assimilated, whatever. And now they claim to be, okay, the Europeans here. They claim to have roots with, okay, they call themselves Indo-Europeans. They call themselves Europeans. And they claim that they have roots together with the North Americans, with the ancient tribes, with the Indians there. Okay. The answer is that the Turks in Europe, the ancient ancestors, the Turks who went to Europe and mixed with the local populations there, with the Slavs especially, and with the Jewish communities, who were most probably first formed in Poland, that's what I think, in parts of Russia and Poland. So the Slavic tribes here, they mixed with the Turks. And this is why the American Indians have their DNA, because American Indians have East Asian DNA. So the Turks must have had East Asian DNA here. So all of them were Tatars who arrived here. Yes, this is very important. Very important clues here. Actually, it is showing Islam, but here you see the Turks. They were Tengryists. They accepted Islam later. But the most important part here is that the Avars are Tatars. Yes, that's what I wanted to share with you. Now you have the proof. It is no lie anymore. So another thing is, but wait a minute, I have to tell you about something else. So I will turn back to that later. Now, this is important. Because we are in the area around God. Somewhere. It wasn't this one. Okay, anyway, I hope I can find this part. But here it talks about the Scythians and the Cimmerians who went into Anatolia. You see here that they came into Anatolia. And here they also went here. And they also went into Europe. I hope I can find the part. No, it's not here. It's not here, actually. I'm looking for something else. Okay. Yes. Here it is, the explanation. This is why I wanted to show it to you. Now look at the map. You see Scythia. The Scythians, they were around the area of parts of Crimea, Ukraine, Russia, the steppe. That means parts of Europe, and most probably Eastern Europe as well. And you see their effect, right? So this was Scythia, this is Greece, and these are the parts of Central Europe. And now the explanation. I'm going to tell you about the Scythians here. It talks about the Hallstatt culture, etc., etc., the Hallstatt culture in Germany, etc., etc., and the Alps that were there and formed, etc., right? And how that people were buried, etc., 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 right? So the important thing here is the part of the Scythians. Now, I'm going to magnify this very important thing here. It talks about Anatolia, etc., etc. The Assur, the parts of Syria. I mean, the Assyrians and Urartus, etc. Anatolia, blah blah blah. Okay, and here, the Scythians. Can you read it? The Scythians from Turkestan. It says here, right? Here is the proof that the Scythians weren't Persians, they weren't Iranians. They were from Turkestan, they were Turks, they were Proto-Turks. And here we have it. Here is the proof. This very important thing I wanted to share with you. This is the atlas from, it's from the 1960s, right? I think 1964. I'm going to share the source with you. So here it says that the Scythians, they destroy the Cimmerians. I mean, they defeat them, and the Cimmerians, they go into Minor Asia, into Anatolia, and there they fight with the Assyrians and the Medes, etc., etc. Right? And then some, Kyros and Darius, etc. They fight against the Scythians. So I think Darius and Kyros, they most probably were Persians and Greeks. And they fight the Scythians in the Black Sea, around the Black Sea region. I mean, and there, the Scythians, they actually defeat them, and they come towards the Balkans, and also they go into the Pannonian basin. That means the Hungarian part, where they settled down. So this part is very important. Okay, and here it talks about the Scythians and the Cimmerians who reached Eastern Germany. That means the Proto-Hungarians. The Scythians, they were actually the descendants from the Scythians. So they reached Bavaria. That means that our ancestors, from Turkestan, so the Scythians, they were from Turkestan, and our ancestors, and they went until Bavaria. They went until East Germany. That's what I said in Gesta Hungarorum. So I was right in claiming this. And together with the Thracians, they also went to northern Italy. Now, who were the ones who went to northern Italy? It was the Etruscans. That's what I think. So, all these have something in common with our ancestors. So, here it says Turkestan. You see how in 100 years, in maybe less than 100 years, in 50 years, in 50, 60 years, the truth is, how can I say, hidden. They are hiding the truth from us. They are lying to us. And it is not very good for learning the truth. I mean, everyone wants to learn the truth. Everyone wants to have the proof. And here you have the proof that these people were Turks. And again, it says here about the Scythians, that they were the horse riders of the steppe. They knew how to fight. If the Scythians were from Turkestan, from the area of Turkestan, how can you claim that they were, okay, you give them 100 names, but you don't call them Turks who rode their horses? Okay, here it's describing the ancient techniques, how they used the arrow and the bow. This is our ancestral legacy, right? They used artistic, let's say, skills to use their arrows and their bows. Okay. It says here, after they conquered Asia, the Scythians. So they first let's say they first conquered Europe, the area of Eastern Europe, and then Central Europe, and then they came to Asia. So the Scythians, I mean, most probably Anatolia, and also Southern Asia, and the areas of Afghanistan, Pakistan, and parts of maybe the Middle East as well. But it says here, after they conquered Asia, the whole world changed, and it became horse riders dominant, let's say. And here again, this is very important. It is actually a repetition of what I told you before, and it is actually a summary of the things that I have talked about. And here is the proof that I was right with my thoughts. Okay, now the agriculture is actually a pastoralist lifestyle. And here you have trade with all kinds of people within the area, let's say. So they had trade with the Bactrians, with the Assyrians, with Greece. And I told you before that the Greeks had colonies around the Black Sea, right? So here we see the proof that this was right. And also they traded with meat, with wheat, etc., and with slaves. Now, most probably, this is what I think, the Greeks bought slaves from the Scythians. That's what I know. So most probably the Scythians, they took, they captured most probably some regions, some areas, and they took people with them, and they sold them to the Greeks. And that's how Greece got stronger and stronger. I mean, the Scythians never had slaves. That's what I think. They traded them with the Greeks. Unfortunately, it's a cruel world, of course. And here we have their religion. Let's see how religion, I mean, not religion, but their belief system, because religion, I think religion is something completely different. Their belief system was, I think, something like Tengriism. Here it talks about Tapiti and Tapeus, or Papeus, I'm sorry. And then we have Apia and Utosirus. So these, I think, are all Greek names. Artimpasa, then. Of course, people were shamans. Etc., etc. And here it talks about the Kurgans, right? Here it talks about the Kurgans and the tumulus that the people made, the Scythians made. So the Kurgans, if these people were from Turkestan, and if they were Turkic horse riders, and not Turkic, but Turks, Tatars, and the area of Turkestan, and if they went all around the world from, because we're going to see a map where it shows you how they affected these regions, and then the big civilizations were actually born. So the first Kurgans, they are actually not Russian. They always claim that these were Russians and Ukrainians, but after looking at the map, you will see that these were all Turkic. These were all Turks that lived in the area where the Russians were, or where the Ukrainians were. The original homeland of those areas, I mean, they owe it to the Turks there. Yes. So here we have southern Russia, and the parts where the Kurgans were found, and even in eastern Germany. That's very interesting. I know that there are loads of Kurgans in Hungary, but I didn't know about Eastern Germany. Ah, yeah, I remember now. Do you remember the video that I made about the Kurgans that were found in Germany, in parts of Germany? I think those were the Avars, most probably. So anyway, here it talks about the sacrifices. So the horses were sacrificed, and also women were sacrificed together with the let's say the important people among the Scythians. So also here we have the proof that in these Kurgans they also put certain objects like weapons, etc., beside them. Yes. And the Venetians, the Illyrians, and the Thracians, they follow them. Yes. So the Thracians, they always say the Thracians are Greeks. No, they are not Greeks. You see here that the original land was Turkestan. Here again, there. We have the proof here. So, God, actually, I wanted to move this part. So, wait a minute. Yes. So here we have another map. Here we have the Khazar Turks, Hungary. Now, the white Bulgars. You see here. So the here actually there are the Turks. I mean, the Tatars, the white Bulgars. These are the Tatars, actually, the Bulgar Tatars, who went most probably from this part towards the original place where they are. And here they mix with the Slavs. They mix with the Slavs later, right? So we also have here, I think, Germany, but under, I think, Karl. So here is the Slavic world, right? So they were actually most probably up here close to Sweden, most probably. So Poland, those areas, parts of Russia maybe. So up here, here is Finland, of course. So the Finns are actually closer to the Bulgars here. So here are the Bulgars, so the Tatars. And I also think the Finns are also partly Tatar. So the Uralic, Altaic part was, I think, mainly Tatar. And here we have the Khazars, the Turks, the Khazar Turks. Okay, here we have something different. There are the Semitic tribes. Okay, here we have also Minor Asia. But I think here, if you draw, okay, if you look at the map here, the regions that were in yellow, I think they had something to do. They had something in common, most probably. But anyway, I wanted to share with you the parts here that were actually Turkic. So the Tatar, actually. Tatar is a bit different than Turkic. That's what I think. Because Tatars were also in Europe. They were in the Volga region. They were in today's Ukraine. And they were in Russia. They were in the Ural Mountains, the Tatars. And from there, they also spread towards Europe. But when we say Turkic mainly stayed in Asia, in Central Asia. And here we see that actually the Tatars are Turks who lived in Europe, who went to Europe. Much earlier. So anyway, and here we have actually the map from 1870, right? So this is a very old map. Yes. Right. So we also have the ancient names of today's Anatolia here, right? Actually, nothing much has changed in the names. We still have Karaman, we have Konya instead of Iconium, Angora is Ankara, and there is also Angara in parts of Russia. That's what I know. I think I mentioned it before. So I also strongly think that these names were given as the tribes went to Anatolia. Maybe these were the ancient tribes that gave the names to these cities, and later, I mean, maybe they were Ugric tribes, Uralic tribes. That's what I think, because there is actually not much difference between here and here. I mean, you can come from this part to this part. So, another thing. Wait a minute. So this is actually the Middle East of those times, but the thing here is the most important part is the steppe region. Yes. So remember the steppe and the Turks, the Tatars, the horse riders, the ancestors of the Turks and Tatars, the horse riders who went to all directions. So imagine Central Asia, imagine Turkestan, imagine parts of Russia, imagine Kazakhstan, and imagine people with their horses going to these directions. First, of course, Asia. And as they are going to each direction, these big civilizations take place. I mean, they spread their civilization to the green dots. So this is what I claimed. Do you remember my videos where I said they all started coming from Central Asia and they spread their culture to Southern Asia, to the Middle East, and to Europe. And most probably they also spread their culture to China, because here we have China as well, right? So actually my logic is right. As I'm drawing conclusions, I'm in the right way. I'm on the right way. That's what I believe now. So it makes me happy that I found this proof. So all our ancestors from Central Asia, from Kazakhstan, from Turkestan, from the Tatar, from Greater Tataria, they spread their culture to these big regions, and there the people mixed, the cultures mixed, certain admixtures happened, and this gave way to these great civilizations. One of them was the Chinese civilization, the other was the Indus civilization, So another one was the Sumerians and the big civilization um, in the Fertile Crescent, and also another big civilization was in northern Africa. Now, not to forget the Northern American continent. If you remember, we had here the East Asians, and from East Asia, they went to Northern America through the Bering Strait. So most probably, this impact was also seen in Northern America and Southern America, because it is all connected, because they have the same DNA, right? And a similar culture, of course, with us. Yes. Actually, it says here Kulturpflanzenzentren, but I also think that there was a birth of the big cultures together with these steppe herders. Yes, and Hochkulturen, it says here, right? So because the steppe, the pastoralist life and the steppe life mixed with the agricultural life, such big cultures happened. I mean, it gave rise to these big cultures. This is actually a logical conclusion. This is an outcome. This is a result. And it was very, very beautiful. I mean, it is great. It is great to see this. I mean, it is actually, how can I express myself? It happened this way. It happened like the Atlas described us. And here, this is about how they burned their dead. So here in Central Europe, they burned their dead. So very interesting, because it says here this was the center of the Urnenfelder Kultur, where they burned their dead. So it was also seen here and in other parts of Europe, and it also spread to the Hittites, because the Hittites in some time they also burned their dead. That was very interesting. So I'm skipping this actually. Because it has actually nothing to do with my topic. Okay, now turning to today and close history. So the last 500 years. I want you to look at this map carefully. And the things that I told you for about now 40 minutes or so. And I want you to look at the red dots. Now, today we have in Northern America this part where they are a superpower, right? And also the colonies from the past. For about 500 years or so, these regions, they are still the superpower. So nothing has changed actually in 500 years. Are these the regions where the cultural things thrived? No. These are the regions that colonized other regions. These are the regions which killed the culture. These are the regions which assimilated the cultures. It shows here Finland, and it shows here also the yellow parts are also okay. No, wait a minute. So the red parts are actually, yes. Why does it show Finland? Finland wasn't a colony. I mean, it wasn't a colonial power, but maybe, I'm confused now. Did Finland have colonies? As far as I know, no. But most probably, maybe it was part of Russia. Yeah, because Russia had Finland, yeah, as a colony. So most probably Finland used to be of a Russian part in the past, and later it became Finland, most probably. So parts of Finland were actually Russian in the past. Yes. So Russia had colonies. Yes, they colonized the Turkic world. They colonized Turkestan, etc., and the parts of actually not Turkestan, but the Tatar regions, right? The Western Turks, let's say so. So America colonized the American Indians, the parts where American Indians lived. And Europe colonized actually the parts where the Avars lived, where the Tatars lived, and also yes, so the red dots, I mean the red parts are actually also the Roman Empire areas. So it was also the Greek world, the Roman world, the Russian world, and the American world, and of course Britain, not to forget. Anyway, I hope I didn't confuse your mind. And the regions in yellow, right, with okay, mostly where you see the parts here, they were actually the colonies that had been captured by the red regions. Yes, it is still the same. It hasn't changed actually. It is still the same, and now you see how the Middle East and parts of Asia are still colonies of the West, let's say. Okay. Again, we have here Russia. Look at the map. So this is Russia towards the years 1740. I mean, from the 16th century on until the 17th century, let's say mid-17th century. I want you to have a look at the parts here. We have Siberia. Yakut is Turkic. So the Yukagir, Uralic Turkic. The Tungusic, okay, the Tungus, they're Altaic, right? Um, if you look at the Manchu, I think they are also Altaic, I guess. The Mongols are Altaic, okay? The Kyrgyz are also Altaic. The Kazakhs are Altaic. The Tatars are Altaic. And Uralic, of course. I want you to have a look at all these regions. They are all Tataria, right? Have a look at the Kazakhs, the Kyrgyz, the Kalmuks, the Tatars, Turks. Have a look at the Tungus, the Yukagir, the Yakut. They are also Uralic Altaic, related to Turks. We have other regions as well, okay? If you go down, as I said, we have Turkestan. Can you see Turkestan? Right? And imagine the Scythians having come from Turkestan up to the steppe towards Europe. Okay. Yes. And here we also have Persia. Persia is actually not very much related, but they must have had an effect later on. Right. So here we have the steppe, etc. So what is this about? Okay. So, these were actually the strikes that happened in the 1800s, right? So it all happened here. You see the strikes that happened, and here we have also the strikes that happened here. So actually, we can see then that the people who were united into Russia, into the Russian, into the Russian lands, and they were not, most probably they were not very happy about it, and they striked. Okay, and the first Jews, they come into being. So the first Jews, they start here, right? I think the Jews, they came later into being. Okay, I'm going to stop it here because the First World War, etc., is actually something else that I want to talk to you about. And yes, and this actually was my presentation. I got stuck. I'm sorry. I wish you a happy new year with hopefully less accidents, with less plane accidents, road accidents, with less wars, with less turmoils, with less inequality, and I hope it will be a year for my, let's say, I'm not patriotic, but I hope and I wish that the importance of the Turks will come to light, and the history of the Tatars and the Turks will give light to the world. And I want European people, especially the ones who mixed with the Tatars and with the Hungarians and with the Turks, I want them to learn about this and defend the right thing, learn the truth. That's what I want. I now think that the Tatars and the Scythians and the horse riders who came into Europe, that they didn't speak an Indo-European language. I think if they were Tengryists, because today there was a question to an expert in a live stream, and he asked about the Tengryists and Tengriism in the Indo-European people. And was there a connection, etc.? And if there was a connection, I believe that it came from where is it? It came from the Turkic tribes. They were all Tengryists, and they spread their ancient beliefs, their common beliefs to these advanced cultures. I mean, advanced cultures happened after having an interaction, having a contact with the horse riders. And as they went everywhere, similar cultures, similar beliefs spread, not just one. So shamanism, Tengriism, and all these ancient belief systems, they were actually stemming from Central Asia, from the steppe, and from the horse riders, from the pastoralists, from the Tatars, from the great Tatar people, from our ancestors. Because all these similar cultures, they have something in common. And if they have something in common, they must have spread from one source, which is not Indo-European. I see it here. They were not Indo-European. China, ancient Chinese tradition has nothing to do with Indo-European. Ancient Indian tradition has nothing to do with Indo-European. Also, the Semitic part has nothing to do with Indo-European. And if you have a look at Northern America and Southern America, they were not Indo-European. So it has more of a belief system that believed in most probably the Tatar parts, the Turkic parts, they had something like Tengriism and shamanism, especially in Southern and Northern America. They had their totems and gods, etc. In India. and most probably in China as well. So Buddhism and Hinduism later spread. They had many gods, etc. So the belief systems, they slightly changed a little bit because here there were many communities. So as people became more populated, they most probably tended to believe in higher belief systems like Buddhism, Hinduism, etc. And the Sumerians, they mixed with the Semitic tribes, and there it had a huge effect on the world religions. So the world religions spread because of the Sumerians. But I want to talk about this in my next videos. So today I want to summarize it that finally I have found a proof that the Scythians were from Turkestan. Okay, I wish you a very happy new year, a healthy new year. And I hope everything will be okay, everything will be as it should be, with finally an enlightenment, with an understanding of my culture, with no discrimination, that everybody understands, that especially the West will understand, that the Western world will understand the value and stop colonialism and stop suppressing and exploiting weaker regions, because they are rich of culture, they are rich of civilizations, of ancient civilizations. And I hope that everything will be all right. Yes. Happy New Year.